rising, lineups posted, shades on, lawn chairs, parents posted, seeds in the cheek, dreams in the dirt, cleats in the cage, stains on the shirt. This ain't no highlight reel or fast takes, just game talk, raw cuts and grass stains. From the backfields to the big dreams, we're talking shop with the real teams. It's Spittin Seeds powered by cold weather bats, where the story's alive and the culture's intact. So zip up the bag, lace up the spikes, and settle in. We're on the mic.
Welcome on into Spittin Seeds, part of the Cold Weather Bats Network, episode 4. I am Michael Rubenstein, joined as always by Nick Swanson.
Yeah, glad to be back. Got a good one today. Good conversations that we both feel are important to youth in travel baseball world.
Yeah, and that's really what the show is about. Not just talking about baseball, but talking about how we can improve the experience, not only for the players, but coaches and families and really everyone at every single level. Whether it's high school, travel, or really even youth ball. We want to share what we've learned, what we've seen work, and really what we can think can be better.
Yeah, we're not saying that we got all the answers. I wish that we could say that we did, but we don't. But we've been around here long enough, that we know that there are, good ways to do it and bad ways to do certain things.
Yeah, and biggest thing with that, like you just said, we're never going to sit here and say that we know everything. We certainly do not. But one thing that I know for myself, I know for you as well, is we're always trying to learn and learn new things about how this amazing game keeps changing. And we're just going to share a couple of our things that we got for today's episode. So first up, it is officially May. Today is Monday, May 5th, which means for high school coaches like Nick, things start to ramp up as really districts are going to get closer. We'll talk about what changes, what stays the same, and really how to keep players focused this time of the year.
Yeah, it's a fun stretch. It's also a challenging one. I think especially this week this is usually like the last week of leagues, this week and next week before, Catholic League's playoffs start up. Whether you're in public school and you're finishing up your league games, it's a lot of games this week due to weather, due to just rescheduling issues. It's going to get crazy here the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see where everybody stands come the end of the year.
So, and then we're going to dive into today's main topic, travel tournaments, and we're talking obviously travel baseball, but the out-of-town travel tournaments, are they really necessary? Do kids need to be driving hours upon hours every weekend? Or really is there value just staying local and playing good, solid baseball? We have some thoughts on that we will get into as well.
It's not anti-travel. It's a bigger conversation about what helps players get better. But I think it's a really interesting conversation to have.
Exactly. And after that, we have our favorite segment that we will get into. It's going to be the rant of the week. Typically, we will be going back and forth with each of us sharing one, but Nick's got a good one, and we'll leave it at that. It's going to be something that has some labels, has some meaning, and really what we think is how it should mean. So I'll leave it at that until we really get into that point. We've got a really fun one near the end. What is one thing that we'd each ban from youth/travel baseball? It's lighthearted, or we'll see, it should be, but it's also a good way to think about what the game could look like with a little less noise.
Yeah, and it could be gear, it could be dugout habits, could be parent behavior. We'll kind of see where it goes.
And before we get started, we like to do a quick shout out to everyone that is subscribed to us on our Patreon. We just dropped a new post today called No Field, No Problem. It is all about how players can still get meaningful work even when practice is canceled or the weather doesn't cooperate, as we've seen that's happened a lot here. Those that were in tournaments yesterday, well, a lot of those got rained out. Something that is happening frequently here in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's full breakdowns on drills. There's some mindset stuff, all easy kind of to do at your own home. find a room in your house. There's no excuses to, quite frankly, get it done.
And that is live now at patreon.com/coldweatherbats. Go check it out and support Cold Weather Bats.
Episode 4 of Spittin Seeds starts now.
Our very first topic that we kind of have been doing on a regular basis here, as we just discussed, you are a high school baseball coach at Cranbrook Kingswood over in Bloomfield. How has we do this podcast every other week. So how's the last 2 weeks gone for you guys?
Yeah, we started the season off really, really hot. I think we came out 8-3. We've had a rough stretch of baseball games. I think we went on a 9-game losing streak. So we're now at 9-12. It happens, right? We got that mid-season form, kind of taking kids, preaching how are we going to be the second half of a team. Good teams, they have those bumps in the road. We've seen the Tigers do it. We've seen, teams that win the World Series, the Dodgers have it. Like, it's how you overcome it and how you're going to finish. So we got a ton of rainout games this week. We play tonight at Jimmy John's, and then we move right into the Catholic League playoffs start this Saturday. So it's coming up, big season ahead, and districts are right around the corner. So we'll see how we can finish strong.
So let's touch on that. Obviously, with now we are into the month of May. What is things that change? Is it, the urgency? Are you guys starting to look at what lineup you're going to put out for that district game? What's kind of the thing that you as a head coach are starting now to look at?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how you put it, because we are starting to do things now where, we have some players that are really good at, we'll say, bunting, or really good at getting the runner in from third base with less than 2 outs. Like, you're starting to see guys get more opportunities, especially late in the season right now, to see how they're going to be able to execute that, whether it comes, Catholic League title game or Catholic League semi-player game or district final or whatever it may be. So it's exciting trying to see these guys make do with the opportunities they have, because we have a lot of guys that, quite frankly, haven't got a lot of playing time. But with that being said, how they do with their opportunities is going to get them more chances come, late down the stretch and into the season. I mean, there's some guys that we didn't even think about that now are being pushed into the lineup because they can do certain things successfully.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I remember from playing and coaching in high school. The things that change now is you start looking at really the little things, whether it's can Johnny get that bunt down that we're going to need when we're down 1 in the 6th inning in the district game, or who's going to be able to go in as a defensive replacement, or who can go get that stolen base when we need it. It's definitely something when you're a school that is going to be competing to get out of districts, you have to be having those fields, who's going to take care of this topic and who's going to get our stolen base. Those need to be figured out really in the next couple of weeks, so you can hammer those out. And that's something that I think allowed me as a coach to take that into summer baseball as well, because you do those little things well, you're going to be in every single game, even if you aren't better than the other team.
We talk about all the time, especially at Cranbrook, and I'm sure other teams around the state do, like, playing as a team, right? It's tough to not see playing time, and then when your name's called, like, be able to execute, right? So I think it's really important, especially late in the game, like, getting everyone to buy in so that they're ready when their name is called, right? I think it's a very key to having a successful season, ending the season strong, is if you have that culture built and that team dynamic, I think you can go far.
That leads into the next thought here is, you as a coach, say you guys practice probably once or twice a week?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So how do you manage trying to figure out some of these things to continue developing when you only have 1, maybe 2 practices per week with all of these games where they have significance?
Yeah, it's a tough at a school like Cranbrook. I'll be completely honest with you. Like, when we don't have as many pitchers as like other schools, it's super tough to be like, I want to play baseball. I want to compete. I think you're only going to get better with the more games that you play, right? Now I'm not knocking practice, but like if we had more arms, I would absolutely love to play as many games as humanly possible on any given day. I don't think we have that luxury. Other schools might have that luxury, and that's kind of why you probably see more success from them. But I would say for the most part, like we try to play 3 games a week. That kind of spreads things out, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, something like that, where we can keep our pitchers in line with their pitch counts and being able to succeed down the stretch. Although I will say, like, it's hard, right? When you get those couple rainouts and you have to find a way to schedule league games, the pitching rotation starts to, kind of get wonky, right? Like maybe you play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because you have to get games in. So it's really difficult organizing that and structuring that down the stretch.
Now, have they come out with who your opponent is yet for districts?
Oh, yeah. We got Notre Dame Prep in pre-district, and then the winners got Lamphere, and then St. Mary's Country Day winner.
Okay, so you got a pretty
hard district,
formidable district right there.
Yep, you ain't wrong there.
All right, let's shift gears for a moment and shine some light over on our Patreon. We've put a lot of thought into this one and really every single one that we've put up, because this one specifically, it speaks to a situation we are all familiar with this time of the year. That's canceled practices, unpredictable weather, or those awkward gaps in the schedule in between high school games as well as the youth tournaments.
It's called No Field, No Problem. And it's, really built around the main question of what do you do as a player when the field isn't available? But do you still want to get better? I think it's a huge question. And I think, like, especially in Michigan, right? Like, we can't be outside all the time. I think it's a massive question to answer. I think this article does a really good job with answering some of those questions. And I think it can actually be some of the most important for player development. So it's an exciting read. I want to make sure that everyone takes a look at it. I think everyone, hopefully they enjoy it.
Exactly. It's easy to think that progress only happens at team practices or tournaments, but we've seen it time and time again. I know all of our coaches say this same line: what are you doing outside of practice? Because that's really where you start to see the improvement. The best players are the ones that do that, who stay intentional on their own. And really that's what this post is about. We walk through players, and this one's geared towards the youth, so especially 11 to 14U. And it's really how they can structure a simple 30-minute training session right from their home.
Yeah, and it's not really a theory. These are actually like routines that we've seen work. It breaks down into we'll call it 10-minute blocks, right? There's hitting, there's your tee work, dry swings in the mirror, front toss, drills that you've done. There's the throwing part where you're doing, whether it's like catch of the yard or long tossing in the football field. Even, I know we have mixed feelings about this, but like even towel drills, like there's always something that you can do. And finally, like I think movement is probably that last of that block, whether it's resistant bands, movement prep, footwork drills, something to keep the body active. And I think those are really the 3 blocks when it comes to trying to get better, right?
Yeah, it's the kind of work that you don't need a coach present or standing there, or you don't need the fancy facility. It just takes commitment. You can do it in your basement, your garage, your backyard, wherever you live. You have the ability to do this, and we structure it in that way. And one thing we talk about in the post, not to give away the entirety of the post, is we have even talked with a 12U player that is doing this 3 times a week. And you think about it this way: you can rack up over 70 extra hours of development by the end of the summer,
which is crazy to think about. I know we talked about a lot from like the physical standpoint, like even from the mindset standpoint, we talk about it all the time. I feel baseball is 95% mental, and I think we also go into, I would say, pretty good detail about how mindset works within, youth baseball, what we do on the off days, how we prepare ourselves before games, visualizing at bats, stuff like that. So his article talks a lot about mindset as well as the physical attributes.
Yeah, and really a great example of this, and this is going to be a question I'll get into, but I I know as a travel coach that it was very obvious which players were the ones putting in extra work. I had one player of mine that he's only top of mind because I saw him this past weekend. My shortstop on my team, Josh Getz, I could see every single time Josh was putting in the extra work because you would see those little adjustments that I'd ask him to make, and I would know this is an adjustment that takes a little bit more than just a 1 minute type of fix. And you would see him show up the next day and be like, okay, well, he worked on that at home. And really for you as a coach, were you able to see the kids that were putting in the work away from the field? Could you tell as well?
Yeah, there's one thing, there's a kid, Ethan Franklin, who I think we all know, goes to Bloomfield Hills and honestly is in the facility 24/7, right? But I see a lot of that because, I'm in there 24/7. So I think when you're talking about the guys that you don't, there's some guys that you don't see, right? So I got a kid, my example is I got a kid on my 13U team who lives all the way over in Hillsdale. I never see him, right? But you see him every single day when you have games. You occasionally see him on practice days, and his mental focus and ability to ask questions and send me video just kind of tells you like, hey, I'm locked in. I'm ready to take on the development aspect, and I'm ready to put everything I got into training and put it onto the field. Those are the kind of kids that are going to make it to college baseball one day. And quite frankly, like, we need more of those kids.
Right.
I wish there was more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point just to kind of continue off of what you just said too. I had two players that I mean, we both are in Metro Detroit. Our facility is out of Waterford. I had two players that in the years past played for me. I had Keaton Ballard, who was from Big Rapids, which for those of you familiar with the state of Michigan, that is very far away. And to take it even further, and I got to even look this up because I don't even remember where he was from. That's right. I thought it was this. I had at 18U. So remember, 18U level, things change in terms of commitment you see for a lot of kids. I had Aaron Bess, who is from Boyne City, and definitely not close by any means. They were at as many practices as they could, and those were two that you could see the development because they would send videos and you would give them their feedback and things to that extent. You'd be able to see them improve every single time you would see them because you wouldn't see them as much because obviously they're 3, almost 4 hours away for certain things. So we're not saying, to kind of get back to this, we're not saying you need to grind 24/7. We're not expecting that. But if a player can find just 30 minutes on an off day or a day where it's like yesterday where the weather was bad to work on their swing or their movement, it can be a big deal. It can build habits. And most importantly, especially in this sport, especially as a youth level, it's going to build confidence. So when you're putting in work, it's going to show. So if you're listening and you've got a player at home or you're coaching a team that's been battling weather or schedule issues or early season fun, as we can put it, this post it's a great resource. We lay it all out: drills, structure, purpose. It is live right now over on our Patreon. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see that link on your screen. If you're listening to us on wherever you get your podcast, that's www.patreon.com/coldweatherbats.
Yeah, and shout out to everyone who's already, supporting us out there. That group kind of helps keep this podcast and everything we're building moving forward. And hopefully we are giving you value in return. So we super appreciate everything that you guys are doing for us.
And really every post is meant to offer real practical value for the players, coaches, and parents trying to do the game really the right way.
Yeah, and with that being kind of said, we've got a lot more coming out. I think we're going to do new tips. We're going to do deep dives on development, weekly tips. So if you haven't checked it out yet, this is a great week to start. Like I said, a lot is coming the way. It's going to come out fast, and we're excited to kind of bring youth baseball and development and mindset, everything you can think of baseball to you.
All right, and that will be our Patreon spotlight. Thanks again to everyone who's with us. Let's get back into the rest of the episode. That's going to take us to our main topic for today's episode: travel. Put that in quotations. Travel baseball. Do you really need to go out of town? This is a topic that you have to stay with us, because we are going to, if you don't know better, it could sound a little bit like we're answering both, saying you do need to and don't need to go out of town. But really, it's a great debate. Do you need to go to these places that are way out of state for games, or really just stay local?
I do like the away tournaments. Like that is my take on it. I do enjoy that. I think it just depends on the level that you're going for, right? So Cooperstown, obviously, we did Cooperstown last year at 12U. Like, that's a super cool experience. You only get to do that once in a lifetime, right? It's only 12U year. That's a super cool experience. WWBA, all right, for 17 or 16, 17s. Like, that's an awesome tournament to see 500 plus teams at. Like, that's super cool. Or the Lake Point Complex in Georgia, maybe hitting one of those. But for the most part, like, I truly feel that away tournaments, out of state tournaments, and this could be a hot take, but for the most part, they're a bunch of BS. I'll say it. Bunch of BS. Why do I need to go all the way to Arizona, Florida, California at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old? It just doesn't make sense to me. But I firmly believe that at the youth level specifically, like, there's no need to travel. Start traveling when you're 14, 15, when colleges start looking at you. Anybody that's doing it earlier than that, I truly feel that you are doing it for a glorified vacation.
The youth, you think about it this way. Here's a rebuttal if someone's going to say this: oh, well, we're the best team in the state, and we can't find any competition here. Play up. Simple as that. Go play up. If you're 11U team beating everyone, go play 12U. It's that simple. You don't need to be. If you're trying to convince your families we need to go to Florida to play better competition, no, you don't. You really don't. I mean, if you want to try arguing the weather, fine. That's an argument you can have. I will admit that. We personally just had one of our youth teams go to Tennessee. They had weather this weekend. It's just what you deal with in this country, in a lot of the northern parts of it, this early in the year. You're going to have weather. And really with that, these teams that are 15, 16, 17, 18U that are going down south, how many of these players are actually going to be going to colleges out of the state of Michigan? I don't know what the exact stat is any longer, but I know back in 2022, it was less than 10% of those
especially
players.
Nowadays with the recruiting rules, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder and harder to get seen by the southern schools. We'll put it that way, or larger schools that you want to go to.
But even with that too, these kids that out of that 10% that went to go play down south, it was over 60% at that time. And this was 3-4 years ago. So I haven't ran these numbers in a while. I don't think they'd be much different. Back then, those 10% that went to those schools out of state or down south, over 60% of them transferred back to the state of Michigan. They didn't make it where they were. So You think about it this way: if you're in that age group and you're as a coach saying, I want to go take my team to X, Y, and Z down south, you're doing it for a glorified vacation. I will personally say, hand up, I took my 17U and 18U team that I had. We went to Florida to play the BCS tournament, and that's because I had that team from 13U on. We never once went to a tournament out of state that wasn't just Ohio. I think we went to Indiana maybe once. Other than that, we stayed in the state of Michigan because we didn't need to go any further. So yeah, we went down to Florida as it was a gift. It was a thank you to being with me as a coach for so long. And really, the teams weren't that much. I mean, there were some better teams, but it wasn't that much different in competition level.
How many times have we gone to, I don't know, we'll say Cincinnati, and all of the Michigan schools are there watching our kids. Like
Every single time.
every time. Like, why can't we just stay in Michigan, keep it local, have colleges come to us? Like, it just makes the most sense, right? And then for youth, like, I totally understand, especially early on in the season, like we did it, like going down to Indiana or going somewhere warm early on in the season. That makes sense to me. Going to like California in the middle of July will never make sense to me. Arizona or whatever it is. It just doesn't make sense for anything at the youth level. These kids need to play games. Let them play games. Let them compete against each other. And like Mike said, like, I think, if you want to play the competition game, just play up. It's that simple.
Here's the hot take, and you can clip this and take this for what you want. If you're a parent who every single year is looking for what is our destination tournament, you are in travel baseball for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Simple as that. This is not a vacation for you for the summer. It's if you're in the high school ages, it's 4 to 5, maybe 6 tournaments a summer. Put your vacations in August. If you're in the youth, you typically aren't going to be going every weekend. You should have your schedule well in advance. You can book your vacations accordingly. I unless I'm wrong, someone can message me on Instagram or Twitter and tell me I'm wrong, or X. If there is a event in the state of Michigan for the youth or for high school, let's just take high school actually, that is going to have the same level of colleges attending, we need to see that more. I mean, we have our good friend Drew Heward with his exposure at the Grands, and we'll probably have Drew on as we approach that this summer to spotlight that a little bit. But that is really the event, as far as I know, in the state of Michigan, where you have the teams, you have the coaches. You just said a little while ago you want to play as much as possible. It's a round robin. Everyone's playing between 4 to 5 games, depending on really what the coach wants to do. You're getting in the baseball in front of every single coach that wants to be there. And there isn't a better tournament from what I've seen in years past that has coaches at the events.
Yeah, I mean, Drew does a great job, and we just need more events like that. Something where it's not trophy chasing; it's just getting in as many games as possible. I've said this for a while now. Like, it would be cool to kind of do to not do tournaments necessarily, but like just do like a league of like, we got your advanced, your middle, your lower level. And maybe at the top, it's like the best, I don't know, 6 or 8 teams in the state playing each other every week. There's a lot of different ideas you could do, right? But, everyone tries to chase that trophy. And, that's what the travel ball world has become, sadly, as of recent. And I think it's got to shift back towards playing as much baseball as possible, getting these kids prepared for whether it's high school or college, and getting them in front of the right people to be seen. Plain and simple.
Very much so. And don't get us wrong, we aren't saying you can't travel. I have so many memories of the hotels of playing mini sticks in the hallway and being in those embassy suites, sprinting around, feeling like you're the fastest man, because it is a scientific fact. You run faster through hotel hallways. But you don't need to be taking the extravagant tournaments every single time. I mean, all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's team bonding. It's fun. Those are where your memories are going to be a lot of times, but it's not something that needs to be a factor to say, this is why you come join our team, because we are going to go to Florida 4 times a year and Georgia 3, and then we'll go to Nashville 2. Like, that's just not what travel baseball is really meant to be. So I guess really, probably everyone can probably figure this out. For the final thought, what actually moves development forward? Is it geography, or is it going to be reps?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us are going to say the right thing. I hope, but reps for sure, right? Like,
Yep.
This is going to bring us into the rant when we get up there soon. But I would say the more games that you play, the better you're going to get. That's just how it goes. Same with practice. The more reps you take, the better you're going to get. I think it's very important. I think it doesn't matter where you're at. I hate when people tell me all the time that, Oh, well, you don't have space here. You don't have space there. Well, make space. Find a way to get your work in, and quit making excuses for yourself. The kids that don't make excuses for themselves are the ones that you wish that you were as you get older. Plain and simple.
Completely agree. And that'll move us right into the topic you just teased a minute ago. Very good with the tease there. It looks like
Thank
we're
you.
learning with the podcast. And that's going to take us right to our rant of the week. We have a good one here. Really the alphabet soup of classifications. Nick, I will just turn this right over to you and let you have at it.
So, for those that don't know, in lovely travel baseball world that we have, it is for some reason we are classified between double A, triple A, and major. As you get older, once you turn high school, there are no classifications. You are simply good or you are bad. So, my rant has to do with why in the hell do we have classifications for youth? I understand that we're not trying to hurt people's feelings. I get that. At the same time, every single person wants to play in the highest level possible because they want to show that they are the top of the top, we'll put it. To kind of go off that, right? The top dogs, double A, triple A, major. There are so many teams that think they're better than what they are. They'll go play triple A, they'll go play major, they'll go 0-3, 1-2, even 2-1, because quite frankly, 2-1 probably doesn't get you into bracket play. You go and maybe you win one game and you get your ass kicked the next two. You go in and maybe you lose all three. Maybe you compete in two of them, but you still lose and you're stuck with 3-game guarantee. Why not, if you're that good, and we talk about how reps and player development, that's what matters, why not go play in a double A, get more games in, and watch guys truly develop, right? We have guys that talk all the time about, well, why do you carry so many guys? Why does this team have X amount of players, but my son doesn't play? Why not play 6 or 7 games a weekend, carry enough players, have enough pitching to go 6 or 7 games, and then we have no pitching issues. We got no playing time issues. We got no, man, we'll always have parent issues. That's another rant. But we'll limit parent issues. I think that's a massive thing. I cannot say this enough to parents, coaches, organizations. Labels do not matter. I cannot say it enough. By the time you turn 14U, there is no 14U single A, double A, triple A, major. You're freaking good or you're freaking bad. That's it. Bullpen does a really great job. They're classified as Division I through Division IV. Awesome. No one cares. No one cares what division you are. No one cares about double A, triple A, major, anything. Division I is usually your topper end guys. Division II is usually your lower end guys. Division III is your lowest. We get so caught up in these names, double A, triple A, major. It doesn't matter. Now, are these labels helpful or are they marketing fluff is the question. I'm going to tell you right now, they are marketing fluff. Absolute
Marketing fluff. Marketing fluff.
These labels, man, I cannot say this enough. Like, they mean nothing. If you got a great coach that, I don't know, resources at his fingertips, but we'll say they're a single double A team, but your kid's getting a lot better. How many times have you seen them get upset because they're not a triple A or major team and they end up leaving? And then 2 years down the road, they say, hey, the grass isn't greener on the other side. We want to come back. We see it all the time. It's not just us. Every organization in the state of Michigan, every organization across the country deals with the same stuff. And I can tell you right now, It is 100% marketing fluff. Look at the coach, look at the organization, look at the things that matter rather than are they AA, AAA, major, Division I, Division II, Division III, whatever it is. We have the same conversation when it comes to college baseball. It doesn't matter what level you play. Do you want to play? Do you want to get better? Do you want to try to make the next level? Then go there. It's the same thing. And I don't know why we make a bigger deal than what it needs to be. That is my rant of the week. AA, AAA, major are indeed marketing fluff.
All right. And do you agree? Do you disagree? We would love to hear your thoughts. Let us know. You can message us on our Instagram, on Twitter, Cold Weather Bats. That is all of our socials right there on your screen now, at Cold Weather Bats. But that moves us into kind of a rant of the week in some ways. That moves us into one thing we would like to remove from youth baseball. So ban it. What is one thing that you would remove from youth baseball? And I'll go first here with this one. So many good ones. I think the one that a lot of people are going to cherry pick is going to be what could be seen as a crazy game schedule. So let's ban 8 a.m. baseball games. Personally, for me, I never hated 8 a.m. baseball games. And that was because if you are able to get your team up and get them ready, you are well in advance of the other team in terms of preparation. We would routinely have almost 7-on-7 football games for our pregame with, music blasting just to get these kids moving, get their energy flowing. So yeah, that is definitely not my choice for what I would ban. What I'm trying to ban is the early specification of players. So the biggest thing that you see now is everything is on social media and everything is with some sort of a metric. Dominic throws 85. My son only throws 75. He needs to quit playing football and basketball and soccer and start focusing on baseball. No. That is the worst thing that any of these kids can do for development. Let's be honest, 95% of these kids aren't going to go play professional. I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, Dad. Most of them probably won't even go play college baseball. Again, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Dad. A lot of them are going to play some form of high school baseball, which is amazing and a big accomplishment for any sort of player. But the best coaches and the best parents are going to be discouraging their kids from singling on one sport. I do think specification and hammering down to one sport is something that is necessary as the kids get older. If they are way better at one sport than another, yeah, you want to specialize in one sport. But really, the one thing I would ban is coaches discouraging kids from dropping other sports to just focus on theirs. Multi-sport athletes are going to tend to develop better overall and can stay healthier in the long term because of their ability to have skill sets that are going to translate from sport to sport. So really for that is how I as a parent and as a coach, I will never discourage my children or any kids I ever coach from singling one sport too early. Well, there'll always be a conversation. It'll always be the athlete's decision. I will never once tell a player they have to drop or just play one sport.
Mine is going to be drinking at baseball games, and more specifically, parents. Woo woo. How many times have we gone to a Canton sports complex and seen parents bitching at other parents, parents fighting other parents, parents screaming at their own kid, parents screaming at the other parents? It's an endless cycle.
So here's a good example. We were just at that spring kickoff. We were there in the morning. I am not faulting whatever their restaurant's called, because if people are going to buy, sure, do it. You have the ability to do so. I saw parents walking around with 2 cups of beer coming out of their little concession at 10 a.m. What are we doing? What are you doing where you need at a youth baseball game to have 2 draft beers at 10 a.m. It's just unacceptable.
Well, and I want to reiterate this. This is not a U-Trip fault, okay? They have this at multiple tournaments throughout, whether it's the state of Michigan or across the country. Like, this is not a U-Trip thing, all right? Don't think that this is U-Trip's fault for allowing drinks. Like, there are numerous, and don't get me wrong, if I was a bar, that's exactly where I wanted to be. It has to be on tournament companies to not allow drinking at events. You never see it at the higher levels. Like, it quite frankly, like, drinking beer at 8 a.m. to watch your kid play is just like, and yell at 9-year-olds, for example, is just unacceptable. I think it needs to be banned. I think really no tournament company or quite frankly a bar should be allowing that to happen. It just sucks that it's at one of the largest events in the state of Michigan and there's really nowhere else to go. I wish they would ban it. I hope that one day they do ban it. I think it would solve a lot of problems. But again, who knows?
All right. And now we are going to turn to you, the listener. Send us what you would ban. There's some good ones. You got over-the-top celebrations, specialized gear for show and not play, the parents coaching from the sidelines or behind the benches or busting into the dugout after an inning. We talked about how 8 a.m. games, maybe that's your one thing you want to ban. Trophy culture, definitely a good one as well. So let us know. Send us a DM or send a comment in this episode and let us know. Maybe the best ones will get featured. We'd love to highlight some in the next episode, so be sure to let us know. All right, that is going to do it for episode 4 of Spittin Seeds. Let's recap real quick there, Kate. If you're listening on wherever you get your podcast, I'm sorry, you're missing a little bit of a baby intermission here, but we talked about the realities of May in high school baseball and what starts shifting as playoffs are going to approach. We broke down travel tournament. Do kids really need to be on the road every single weekend? Nick had a fantastic rant on the classifications and why we need to be clear about what they truly mean. It's some good fun with our Ban It segment and a great discussion on player development, really when the fields are not available.
Yeah, again, huge thanks to everyone who joined us on Patreon. The new post, No Field, No Problem. Again, it's now out live. We really think it's one of the most helpful resources we put out so far. Go ahead and check it out. Patreon.com/coldweatherbats. If you haven't already, should be up on the board here. We're going to have more content come out. So please make sure that you subscribe.
We are going to keep dropping weekly content over there, drills, ideas, and deeper insight into everything we're talking about on our show, in addition to some travel baseball coverage, high school baseball coverage, and then some. So your support there is going to help continuing to build this community the right way.
And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Leave a quick rating or a review, or even just share the link with another baseball family or coach we valued. It doesn't matter. Click share, review, and rate us, and go on our social media.
You can also find us on all social medias. We are happy to connect, take topic suggestions, or really just hear how the season's going for you. This whole thing makes baseball better together for everybody.
Appreciate everybody for listening. We'll be back in just 2 weeks.
Until then, take care of your players, take care of your reps, take care of your babies, and we will see you at the field.
Cussing grass stains. Dust clouds rising, lineups posted, shades on lawn chairs, parents posted.